Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Black College Experience. Tonight is March 25th. Of course, it's Sunday night. And we are on episode 32 of season 1 of Black College Experience on Spreaker. Of course, I am in Baton Rouge, and we have the founder of Black College Experience, the one and only diva, Keisha Kales, is in Atlanta. How you doing, Kales?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing great. I got the final, the Elite 8 matchup between Duke and Kansas on mute. So, it's getting down to the nitty-gritty. So that's what my eyes are looking at during the show.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's just hop right into it because in the second half, we do have VUU alumnus Ernest that will be coming on. Funny thing is he a triple sport, so he'll be coming on in the second half, telling us about his life at VUU. You know, it's very rare that we get somebody out of the CIAA, so that was a great thing. But
right.
Go ahead. What you want to start with?
Well, I want to talk about your weekend first.
Okay.
Let everybody know what you did this weekend.
This weekend, I took a trip over to Augusta. I did go to Augusta, Georgia, which is about 2 hours, 15 minutes or so away from Atlanta. Mm-hmm. This was a chance for me to go over and meet young guys. So what they had is Sleeper Recruit. This was a showcase, and I was asked about this event a few months ago. To come out, possibly interview some kids, and some kids that might possibly want to go to HBCUs. Well, in the mix of being out there, of course, I got to see all the training, all the footwork. Got to, talk with the coaches, the guy that actually founded Sleeper Recruit. Got a chance to, interact with all of these people. And I'm going to say maybe about 35 children. Where these young guys are guys that have the skill, the talent, but they haven't committed to any colleges, haven't got any buzz, and, just basically hadn't been on the radar for any coaches. But the wonderful thing about these children, not only that, they had a skill, but you have guys out there with 3.4s, 3.5s. I met a kid that had a 3.9.
Wow.
Then you got like 1,200, 24, 25 on ACT, SAT. So, these are the kids that are buried under the rubble, as I say. And I was like, okay, what can we do to possibly get you somewhere, somebody to talk to you? I mean, out of 105 HBCUs, I was like, somebody. Well, the ironic thing was I met a guy that he was going through the drills, and I kind of caught him in between, and he said Valley was talking about possibly offering him a full ride.
For this year or next year?
I mean, I didn't get a chance to talk to him. I mean, I could easily look him up, but very, very, very talented child, or talented young man, rather. And so we talked, and then, after that, the coach, I think that he was in Florida, so the coach was like, he wanted to send some highlights and to send some film. And in my case, and in my opinion, if we can get these guys into any school, I don't care what school it is, it's an HBCU, if anybody's willing to offer you a full ride, take it.
Right.
I had a kid out there that's graduating in June 2nd, has no idea what he's going to do, hasn't had any offers from schools, hadn't had any talks from coaches. And so right after he sent his highlights, and I was like, I don't know what I can do, but we're just going to do whatever we can to send it out to whatever coaches or whoever.
Right.
To see who will actually buy. Yeah.
You have the highlight?
I do. He sent me the highlights from Huddle on yesterday.
Okay.
Another kid. He sent me his highlights yesterday. And these are all kids in Florida. And this all goes back to a lot of stuff that happened in Florida with the coach that got fired. A whole bunch of friction there's an underlying story to it. But, I was like, in this case, the children suffer, the coaches. And I told him, I was like, when the coaches are not doing their part, this is when you got to step up and you got to do whatever you have to do as far as your highlights, social media. You got to push all of your stuff yourself.
Exactly.
Because that's how everybody's looking at it. Like, you can't hold a coach responsible. You got to do what you got to do as the athlete because everybody puts we can go through social media all the time, Instagram, Twitter. We see all of these guys with all of their stuff on social media because they're pushing their own stuff
right
out there. And the more followers you get, the more people are going to be attracted to what you're doing, and they're likely to share it, retweet it, or whatever. But again, I did get a chance, and I'm going to do some more reconnecting, some more stuff with the coach out of Florida. Also, like I said, the founder of Sleeper Recruit, which is a guy named Rodney. It was just a great time. I mean, I think I was out there. I was in Augusta till almost 3:00. Got back yesterday. I think I left around 4 or so. Got back around 6 something. So it was a really, like I said, a really great time. And I was like, this week I'm going to see what I can do. Even if I can only help one person,
right.
I'll feel like I've done something to help somebody. But it was a really great time. If you give
me some of the highlights, I'll definitely share them as well, because that was before I got into sports radio with you. That was a platform that I wanted to, grow, is helping the under-recruited young athlete get noticed. So I would definitely like to help out where I have resources to connect with coaches that I know. The only thing is, was this a young man who was graduating in June?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The only thing is, most HBCUs probably have given out all their allotted scholarships. So if he has the grades, maybe he can parlay that. If there are any grade A's available still athletically, he can get a partial and then combine it with an athletic. I know Valley definitely likes to find athletes who can qualify for academic aid and then blend that in with athletic. So I would definitely like to help.
I know they were asking him about. I heard someone ask him about being like a potential walk-on if he was opposed to that. Mm-hmm. And he was saying that he wasn't, but I'll definitely send you. I'll start with you then. I'll start with you. I'll send you all the highlights.
Okay.
And I'll start with you.
And I'll definitely connect with them.
So, I'll start with you.
So I saw some of your videos. I saw you up there on the podium. I said, look at my girl working. I said, look at her up there doing her
If you
thing.
know that I don't know how to work a camera, oh, my God, I'm horrible with a camera. Trying to put a camera on the tripod, I'm horrible. I was like, man, just forget it. Take it off. Just record the videos on the phone. Put some on the thing. I am horrible with a camera. I was like, oh, forget it. And then I really thought that. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm horrible with that. I was like, I'll just do the videos by phone. But then that's when the owner said, can you do the interviews? I was like, oh, yeah. How many? He's like, you want to do the interviews for me? I was like, yeah. So I'm thinking, I'm going to interview 1 or 2 people to the side. He's like, no. He literally wants me to get on. It's called bigpush.com. He wants me to get on their platform, do the interviews. So I'm going to actually upload all of those interviews.
Wow.
I was like, okay, well, now I got it. Yeah. Got the opportunity to do so. It was really, yeah.
Yes, indeed. That's what I'm talking about. Keisha Kells out there grinding for her dream. I'm just glad that, you were able to be a part of that. I just think that's awesome. But,
thank you.
Yes, indeed. So, first news we want to talk about. We have some bowling championships to discuss across 3 conferences: the SWAC, the MEAC, and the CIAA. And congratulations to Texas Southern for claiming the 2018 SWAC championship in bowling. Jack State won the first match, 153-151, to take a 1-0 lead in the best of 7. Texas Southern followed up in the second game, winning 178-152. And the final and decisive game, in game 3, Texas Southern won with 194-163 to take a 2-1 lead. And Texas Southern once again had the answer. That was Jack State took a 2-1 lead, and Texas Southern came back and won the 4th game, 182-175, to tie it up at 2. And the 5th and decisive match, let's see here. Texas Southern won the 5th and decisive match, 199-153, to claim the SWAC championship. So congratulations to Texas Southern for winning the SWAC championship. Now, in the MEAC, because in the MEAC, bowling is big in the MEAC. They're definitely. North Carolina A&T wins the 2018 MEAC bowling championship. They defeated Maryland Eastern Shore 4 games to 1 today to take home the crown. It was a rematch of the 2017 final, but the defending champion Hawks took the first game in the best of 7. But North Carolina A&T decided, they outmatched them. They came back and they won. And congratulations to North Carolina A&T. Awards for the MEAC bowling championship was outstanding performer was Anna Olea out of North Carolina A&T. Outstanding coach Kim Kearney out of North Carolina A&T. The all-tournament team was Elizabeth Burkholder out of Delaware State, Brittany O'Connor out of Maryland Eastern Shore, Jacqueline Roder out of Maryland Eastern Shore, Brianna Bowles out of North Carolina State, and Anna Olea again out of North Carolina A&T. So it's good to see these young ladies, doing well, claiming their titles because, this is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. We have spring sports. So, I'm trying to see if I can find the tournament all-stars for the SWAC, but I don't see them posted just yet. So we'll probably, here we go. Our tournament team for the SWAC. It was escaping me. All right. The all-tournament team for the SWAC was Samantha Krenner out of Texas Southern, Marcela Sanchez out of Jackson State, Jessica Sawmiller out of Alabama State, Violet Kirk out of Jackson State, and Jessica Rodriguez out of Prairie View and A&M. Now, in the CIAA, Bowie State, Kels, back-to-back champions.
That's your school. I think that's your school. That's your school up north.
Yeah. And football, Amir Hall, I'm a big fan of his, but Bowie State, defeats, let's see, the remaining 14 were Bowie State, Fayetteville State, Virginia State, and Virginia Union. And the results were, let's see if I can pull these up here. Let's see here. Wait for this to load up. All right, so the championship match, let's see, was best out of 7, and with Bowie State taking the best out of 7 to win the championship, and the all-tournament team in the CIAA, first place 10 finishes were Bowie State first, second place Fayetteville State, third place Virginia State. The all-tournament team goes as follows: Ariel Haith out of Virginia State, Marie Dufree, y'all forgive me if I pronounce your names incorrectly, Marie Dufree out of Virginia Union, Bailey Lexington out of Calvin, Diamond Carter out of Bowie State, Savannah Sterling out of Fayetteville State, and the championship MVP, of course, was Diamond Carter out of Bowie State. So congratulations. Congratulations to those young ladies on a job well done, finishing up the bowling season. And, there are professional bowling opportunities for, SWAC bowlers. So, it's not as big as the men, but there are professional bowling. There is professional bowling for women. So hopefully, maybe some of our HBCU athletes will transition to professional bowling after their college careers are completed. So, congratulations to all the young ladies in the SWAC, the MEAC, and the CIAA as far as bowling is concerned. Since we're talking about the in the CIAA right now, we have some football news, and it's not good. Everyone knows March is spring football season around football. You have teams across the country, preparing to start spring practice. Well, one school you would have thought, would have, waited until this happened, but I guess this had to be done. Elizabeth City State has fired their head coach, Kels. After 2 years, Coach Ernest Wilson is out of the job, with spring football looming. This decision was made by Chancellor Thomas A.H. Conway. Wilson staying in Elizabeth City was a short one. He was named Vikings head coach on February 2016. They finished 2-4 conference record and an overall 4-6 record his first year, and they were 5-5 overall. So, Tim Orr, the defensive coordinator, will now manage football operations while a search for a new head football coach is underway. I mean, what do you think about this move, Kels? I mean, March, you're supposed to be getting ready for spring football. I'm not looking for another football coach.
One of the things that I hate when this happens, and this is HBCU or any other conference, I really hate when they fire, coaches resign, coaches quit, coaches take other positions, and right before the season starts, no matter what football season, basketball, but whatever the sport is, because at that point, you're going into another position or you're being fired or whatever the case is, but it hurts the athlete. Right. That's who it hurts the most, because now they're having to adjust to another coach. You're having to shuffle things. You're having to get used to somebody else new coming in. And I think the person that it hurts the most is the athlete. Now, you think about it. All of this time that they had to get rid of him or whatever the case was, you wait till almost April to do that. It's springtime. You got all these pro days coming up. You got all of these, you got the draft coming up. You have all those things coming up. And just say you played for this coach your whole 4 years. Who knows you better than that coach? So I think it hurts the athlete more. And I think a lot of times when we start making these decisions as administration, they don't think about the athlete, and that's who it hurts the most. And I think it's a tacky thing to do. I mean, never mind you could let me go at the end of the season or in December, but you bring me back into a whole nother season, and I'm there 3 additional months. And then it's like, okay, well, when it's time to get ready to start spring practice and all of these things, okay, now, it hurts the athlete more than it hurts anybody aside of the person being fired.
I agree with you. And we do have a caller on the line, my line brother, Patrick Perry. PP, how you doing this evening?
All right.
What do you think about Elizabeth City State firing their head coach, with spring practice on the loom? Of course, we don't know if he was fired with cause. We weren't given that information. All we know is he was let go. And this is crucial. I mean, the spring is, if you're going to have any changes, you want to have them already resolved by the time spring starts. So what do you think about this move by ECSU?
Yeah, I mean, spring practice already started already, so it must be something else to the story to let somebody go 2 years in and the team showed improvement last year. I mean, it must be something else to that.
Yeah. I mean, well, I guess we'll see what happens with the duration of ECSU once football season starts. Well, I guess we'll get spring practice reports. I'll be scouring the internet to see if I can find any, and then of course who they decide to hire for the fall. I mean, you have to promote from within. You gotta have to let someone be the interim. I mean, to bring someone in at the start of a football season like this, I guess you can resolve these issues over the summer, but what about the continuity of your football team? So, but moving right along, the next thing I want to speak about, also in the CIAA, we had some awards given out to a few HBCU players from the CIAA. This is a Division II All-American, the Don Hansen NCAA Division II All-American squad, which contains some HBCU players. First, offensive guard Brian Redmond, 6'2", 312-pound senior out of Bowie State. Trenton Cannon, an all-purpose running back out of Virginia State senior, all on the first team offense. Let's see here, didn't have any on the second team offense, and on second team defense. Well, we have return specialist Trenton Cannon, also out of Virginia State. Third team offense, my boy Amir Hall, 6'4", 100-pound junior out of Bowie State. He was named to this All-American squad. And you have Frank Ball, 6'3", 208-pound sophomore out of Virginia State. And you have Sterling Hammond, a safety out of Virginia Union. And on honorable mention, you have Brandon Britton out of Bowie State, Robert Cheston, Sean Copeland, Victor Turnbull, Derek Tate. Out of Cowan, you had Drew Buck, a tight end. And Virginia Union, you have Carl Calhoun, a linebacker. So these were all of the HBCU honorees on this All-Star team. And then Amir Hall was also named as a College Player of the Year at the 10th Annual Washington Football Legends Scholarship Gala where they also honored Bobby Mitchell of the Super Bowl championship Redskins, Moses Morgan, Redskins Player of the Year, Amir Hall, of course, won the College Player of the Year, and Ricky Slade was the Herman Boone High School Player of the Year. Everyone knows who Herman Boone is. He was the head coach from Remember the Titans. So congratulations to Amir Hall winning another award. I'm pretty sure there are going to be more awards for him to come. So, Kels, how about you take a quick commercial break, and we'll come right back with more Black College Experience, okay?
That'll work.
All right, we'll be right back in 31 seconds.
I already knew that I was going to go to college, from a young age. I definitely want to major in political science. After that, I'm going to get my law degree. Then I'm going to come back to Detroit, boost the economy, become the mayor or something, try to make the situation better for other people. I feel like I owe it to the city. I'm determined. It's gonna happen. My name is Justin, and I am your dividend.
All right, we're back on Black College Experience, and we've been talking about goings on. Of course, football season is over with. Basketball season is over with. So, we have the spring sports, but of course, spring sports aren't as exciting as basketball and football. But, we still have exciting news to bring you in the sports world for HBCUs.
And while we're there, let me go ahead and let's go ahead and do this, because while we're still on football, I think this is something I did. I saw this today, and I tell people, y'all know Chester Rogers is Graham.
Oh yeah,
Sam. But we know Chester Rogers, or I know Chester Rogers is Lil Chester from the north side of Huntsville, Alabama. I know Chester as the kid that was doing movies since he was like knee high, and that's what his thing was. He used to do, he used to act. That's what he was doing.
Oh.
But yeah, for people that don't know, Chester was an actor. That's what we thought he was going to be. Chester was an actor when he was a kid. His dad owned, of course, Chester's Barbershop in Huntsville. We all just consider each other family. My nephew is in and out of their barbershop when he's at home. So, it's like a family thing. But, I mean, it's a lot of good times. I can't walk in that barbershop without sitting there at least 2 or 3 hours talking about sports with a whole bunch of guys. It's always like, what are y'all doing next? Is what they're always asking me. What are you doing next? But it is. But with Chester Rogers, the scholarship that he's doing, it's beyond words. Because for people that don't know, Chester was a walk-on as well. And so Chester, and I think you remember last year at Bayou Classic. Do you remember when he did the scholarship, when he first presented the scholarship?
Yeah, I took a picture. Well, I didn't I took a picture with him later on at the game. So yeah. Right.
So I remember Chester doing this, talking about the scholarship, as being the walk-on, and now he's doing the same thing, giving back to those guys that are in the same position as he was. And of course, he went on to be an undrafted free agent, and now he's, with the Indianapolis Colts. But I think that's a very great thing, a very great way to show that you're giving back to the community, giving back to your school, and above all, giving back to HBCUs. Now he's talking about taking this worldwide. So I think it's a really great thing when you can not only give back to your alma mater, because I understand you starting there, I get that, but then you're talking about taking it to other HBCUs. I think that's a really great thing.
I do also. I think it's amazing. I think for him to want to give back before he even earns the big money contract shows his character. Just think what he's going to do once he, once he gets that big multi-million-dollar contract, what he's going to do for HBCU athletes. And, of course, he gave the last year's scholarship to Khalif Salmon. And like you say, he's going to take this to HBCUs around the country. And I just think that speaks to his character and what he plans to do to, keep himself humble. I mean, of course, this season, you have some losses for the Colts. They traded a wide receiver to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They did sign Ryan Grant. So, but Chester, I'm hoping he's going to have a good year this year, because even though Grant was the big-time free agent acquisition, he doesn't know the offense. So I'm hoping that, Chester will be able to, with this on his side, as far as, in his spirit, the spirit of giving, that he will be given an opportunity to see the field more with his hard work. So, I want to wish Chester Rogers well, that he stays healthy this year. Just thankful that he decided to, spread this out outside of Grambling. I mean, I just think it's wonderful. I mean, for a young man to want to give back like that.
Absolutely.
So, and then you know him personally. So, you have a personal connection to him. So, I just think that's awesome. And we do have, let's see, we have a caller. Let me check on this caller. Let's see here. I just heard it beep in. Okay. Kels, that is our guest. And Kels, go ahead and introduce our guest.
Okay. Well, once again, like I said, it's very rare that we get someone out of other conferences. We try to move around and find people as far as we can. But this was like a different interaction. This wasn't even like I was looking. This was different because we were talking about something with sports, and he commented on something I said, only to say that he went to VUU. Now, he's from New Orleans, so I'm interested to see how he got there, and he was in New Orleans. Also military, but also 3 sports while he was at VUU. He is, once again, a 2011 alumnus of VUU. So, Ernest, you on the phone, Ernest?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
All right,
I am.
here we are, Ernest. Well, good evening, and thank you for joining us on Black College Experience.
Oh, absolutely. Appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Yes, and we got this Louisiana connection going on. He's from New Orleans. Kels, you went to school in Louisiana. I'm living in Baton Rouge, so it's only fitting that he be a guest on Black College Experience.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, Mr. Johnson, my name is Derek Thomas. I'm Keisha's co-host. We also have my line brother, Patrick Perry. We're both graduates of Mississippi Valley State University. So, without further ado, why don't you go ahead and tell us a bit about yourself, your background in New Orleans, where'd you go to high school, and talk to us about your journey to an HBCU and what are you doing now?
Gotcha. Okay, well, thank you very much. So I don't want to take credit necessarily for being born and raised in Louisiana. Both my father, my biological father, and my stepdad are also United States Marines.
Okay.
So my dad was stationed, my father was stationed in New Orleans. I moved to North Carolina, then we moved to Virginia, then I moved to South Carolina, then back to Virginia again. So I've been to 3 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, and 2 high schools. So I graduated from North Stafford High School in Stafford, Virginia. And then at the age of 17, went to the United States Marine Corps, and that, took me through Operation Enduring Freedom and took me to Iraq in 2003 at the age of 20. And then that year, because of the number of KIAs that we had in battle, I was like, well, let me try, playing professional football. And so I decided to, go to combines, and I worked out and everything else. It's 2005, 2006. But the one thing I didn't have was film. Had not gone to college. So, short of the story is that I tried to go D1. That didn't work out for some other NCAA rules, but most of the compliance officers didn't know what they were talking about. So it wound up Virginia Union was the closest. I was living in Northern Virginia, and Virginia Union, which is in Richmond, was about 50 miles from me. So I had to work and put myself through school and also trying to navigate utilizing the GI Bill. So that's how I wound up at Virginia Union. And I wound up staying. I went into the NFL draft in 2009 and then got more involved in some of the social activities, some of the political activities that were actually going on in and around the city, and graduated as a dual major in criminal justice and psychology, and in 2011. And that kind of led me on to joining some more political action committees, traveling from Ohio down to Florida, so basically engaging communities across the country about some of the political ills that are going on, actually, and then also having an opportunity being able to represent HBCUs as well, doing things affiliated with the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. Now I'm actually a contractor with the Veteran Affairs Office, and I give briefs to veterans, service members who are separating or retiring from the military.
Okay. Well, talk to us about your athletic experience at VUU. What position did you play on the football team?
Gotcha. So when I initially, because I had already tried playing football before professionally, and that didn't work, I came down as a linebacker. I was 6'1", about 245 pounds, and playing outside linebacker. And but then I also ran track and field, and I'm a sprinter. So by the time football season ends, I go getting ready for track, I lose 20 pounds.
Wow.
And so it's because I'm a sprinter, so I dropped down to about 225 pounds. And so the following season, as I went back, I played running back because I didn't want to try to put the weight back on, knowing that I wanted to run track again. And so in football, it was awesome. I had a great coach, great camaraderie in fitting in. I think we were 10-2. I think we lost to Elizabeth City and Shaw. And we lost to Shaw in the CIAA championship, and then we went to the Pioneer Bowl that year, which is one of the few HBCU bowl games that actually gets featured, especially in 2007. And so we actually had the opportunity to be able to play against the SIAC. And so CIAA and SIAC, played against so us and Tuskegee played. Tuskegee beat us, in a last minute effort, got a squeaked in touchdown, and they wound up being the champions. So hats off to those young men that we played against in 2007 in the Pioneer Bowl. But it was an awesome experience being able to, play football, run track, and then I played in the band too.
Wow!
So you just did everything in the college. You just did everything you could, huh?
I've tried to make sure I didn't miss what the HBCU experience had to offer. I tried to make sure I took advantage of every opportunity and every gift and talent that I was blessed with too, as well.
Well, what did you play?
Okay, so what instrument did you play?
I was getting the same thing.
So so I played the trumpet, the baritone, the trombone, and the tuba.
Wow.
But in college, I was focused on the trumpet in college. But all through, I started playing musical instruments in the 6th grade. My grandmother bought my trumpet. Matter of fact, the only trumpet I still own to this day, Bach Stradivarius, and they bought that for me in the 8th grade. So, because my dad told me, because it cost like $3,000, he said I'll be playing that when the pearly gates open. I better be still playing that trumpet.
Yes, indeed. So, what did you play in baseball? What position did you play in baseball?
No, I didn't play baseball. I did track and field.
Okay.
I did football, track and field, and I played in the band. Virginia Union didn't have a baseball team.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, talk to us about your experience, trying to play pro football. How did that go? I mean, like, did you learn anything from the experience? Did you gain some knowledge to help you decide where you wanted to go in your life with that experience?
Oh no, absolutely. As a matter of fact, it's actually given me that experience in itself has allowed for me to be able to share with the younger athletes who aspire for the same. So and again, as I said before, my attempt in the NFL started back in 2005. Trying to go to the combines and lift. So I was benching 225 23 times. I ran a 4.5, 4.6 40. Not blazing speed, but definitely up to par. I was again 6'1", 235, rock solid, but that wasn't enough. So so that was my first attempt at it, and then trying to get into the NFL, but learning more about that particular process. That there was over 3,000 across the country that were going to these regional combines.
Right.
Only 300 made it to the elite combine, and only 4 actually had NFL contracts. And during this time, we still had the NFL Europe. So again, kind of dating myself, but NFL Europe was still going on, and only 3 people got straight NFL contracts, and one of them had to actually be farmed to the NFL Europe team first. So understanding what that process was like, that there was a very slim margin of individuals who were actually able to make it. And mind you, this is for the supplemental draft, which goes in July. So fast forward to me going in 2009, and in spring of 2009, I had to basically declare for the draft. But for me, I had to go through the process myself. So I contacted the NFL player personnel office. I had the fortune that there was another Marine that was actually one of the directors there, and he kind of helped me navigate through that.
Right.
I had to make the decision, whether do I want to get an agent or try to represent myself. Because one, if I did not get an agent and I wasn't paid in any way, if I didn't make it, I would actually have the opportunity to petition the NCAA again to come back with my amateurism to maybe go transfer to another school or whatever have you. But just trying to, get scouted. So I had the Eagles actually did scout me. One of the scouts, called up to my school, invited me down to go to James Madison University to do one of their pro days. So I went down there. The New England Patriots were there. The Indianapolis Colts were there. I was in contact with the Carolina Panthers, and they invited me over. But it was just one scout, and that was took some interest in me. But you have to understand the numbers. You have maybe a few scouts that go to several schools across the country, and they have to go back with a team of about 15 or 20 other scouts that gets in a room with about 15 to 20 other coaches that then have to convince the general manager that this is the 1 or 2 players in this position out of the entire country that we're going to pick. So it is. I learned what that process was like, and obviously to my personal disappointment, didn't get drafted. But again, at the end of the day, being able to graduate and then being able to have that story to share with young men and women who aspire to to go professional, whether they're especially for out of an HBCU, just what that looks like, and then so they can govern themselves accordingly as they move forward.
Right. I mean, that's an inspiring story. I mean, Kels, you hit the jackpot here with this guy. I mean, he was
you hear all the things
road.
that happen in
right. I mean,
yeah,
that's book and movie material
yeah.
right there. So
I appreciate it.
So talk to us a little bit about what you're doing now, because I'm looking at your website, just reading over your website. You work with a young men's Christian organization.
Oh, so no, I was a director there for the Young Men's Christian Association, for those who know it more affectionately as the YMCA.
Okay.
And so I served as a director of membership, but there were a lot of different programs that I oversaw. Our physical healthy kids programs. I had the after school programs, things of that nature to kind of really tap into some of the potential for the young people that were coming through there. So I don't know specifically which one, because it was just a part of my job that I had to do, and I had an opportunity actually becoming a speaker, not a speaker, but a trainer for our professional staff members to talk to them about telling their story. How do you shape a story? The importance of what a nonprofit actually does and what a 501c3 actually is. Mm-hmm. The importance of actually giving to it. Who benefits from it, and how you as a donor or a giver can benefit as well.
Yes, indeed. Kels?
Yes.
Okay, so let me the second portion. So since he's covered all of that, then I want to jump back into listening to you talking about I guess is the military component and where we are now. And we see the state of HBCUs and where we are across the board as far as financial. You talk about this administration now, and in the blink of an eye, if they could, they literally they would close us all down if they could with just one flip of the switch. We know that personally.
All right.
In this state of where we are with HBCUs, you telling your story is one of those things that a lot of people have to hear, because we can't tell kids enough. I live by the motto, if they want you, they'll find you. But we all know, listening to your story, listening to you tell us the process that you went through and how, you were fortunate enough to have someone to help you navigate through there. Sometimes it's harder for people to actually believe it because they're not physically going through it. They're not experiencing it. They don't understand it. Hey, I still have a shot, which is true. But when you see all of the numbers that you're up against, and there's more and more as the years go, there are more numbers that you're up against. What do you tell a young man that's trying to get into the league as far as, hey, it's important for you to get your education? So what do you tell them in that aspect of education versus, okay, I'm just trying to go pro, and then maybe I'll go back and finish my degree?
Kind of definitely a loaded question there. But the first thing is that one, education is paramount. As a student athlete in the NCAA, the first word is being a student. So your responsibility is to making sure that you learn absolutely everything you possibly can learn. As a matter of fact, I tell aspiring collegiate students, period, to make sure that you don't go to the school just because it's a party school. You don't go to the school just because you can play football or whatever particular sport. You don't go to school because of the fraternities or sororities. You go to school to prepare you for whatever it is that you really want to be in life. And even as a professional athlete, your life, the lifespan of a professional athlete, especially in football, is roughly around 2 to 2.5 years. You can be one of those journeymen that can actually travel from team to team, but there's not a lot of stability in that. It's a lot of high stress when it comes to it. So at the end of the day, make sure that you're going to school so you can get something out of the school, because I promise you the school is going to get whatever they can out of you. But in the blink of an eye, once you can no longer perform, the school has no need for you. The other thing, what I try to do when I talk to young students, and I try to talk to get this message out to parents and older siblings and family members, is to not undervalue their education when they're in middle school and when they're in high school. Many of our students who are coming, especially the HBCUs more so, are underserved and underdeveloped once they get there. Being a student athlete, sometimes, unfortunately, is that they wind up being able to hide behind that fact that they're a student athlete. And they perform well either on the court, on the field, in the track, whatever have you. But once they actually graduate or matriculate either through graduation or matriculate on their way out, whether it's a one and done, they're trying to go pro, or they don't finish school, they're underdeveloped. And I think that is where we need to kind of concentrate on that particular aspect, is being able to, one, value education more, set goals that are just as great as being a professional. So even if you did 10 years as a professional, what are you going to do afterwards? Your education should be helping to supplement that particular goal and dream. Now, as it relates to this administration, I think one of the main things is that we need, as African Americans or minorities or those who are underserved and underdeveloped, need to believe more in HBCUs. We need to support more. We need to advocate more. I had an opportunity last year, and I want to say with the HBCU experience, and actually we're getting ready to do some more things where younger or millennial HBCU alum from around the country actually came together last year after the presidents and chancellors went to meet with the president, which was basically a photo op for the most part. And we actually sat down with congressional members. to talk about saving the budgets for HBCUs, gaining additional money for landscaping and for adding programs, for us to being able to conduct our own research. And I think the one thing about being able to do that, I had an outstanding conversation with a Republican congressman, Mark Walker, out of North Carolina. Now, for the most part, most people, when you talk about politics, and especially when it comes, regardless of what you're talking about, HBCU, guns, or whatever have you, most people won't talk to the other side. However, this white pastor from North Carolina has 9 HBCUs in North Carolina. I think he has 5 that's directly in his district. But his wife is a graduate of Winston-Salem State. And again,
Wow.
white pastor from North Carolina, white wife, went to Winston-Salem State as a graduate and has one of the number 1 nursing practices within Wake County in North Carolina. But if we don't take the time to listen to what's going on and seek allies where we may not think that there may be, then we wind up being complicit to our own HBCUs closing and not having the legacy for our children and our younger family members and generations, and being able to attend and enjoy that experience the same.
Wow.
That is awesome. I mean, and you're right. I mean, because yes, HBCUs were designed for us, but you do have some white people or people of other races who do attend our institutions, and I'm saying our because they are ours. One of my coworkers now, who works with me, she's a graduate of Southern Law School. You know what I'm saying? Most of her family went to Southern Law School, and you know, she's a white woman, and she's proud of her connection to Southern Law School. She's like, this is family for me. I don't look at it and say LSU versus Southern. Southern is my home. You know, I would prefer to go to Southern anyway over LSU. And so we're sitting there talking about it. And she's just like, you know, she doesn't want Southern to close, because even though she didn't go undergrad at Southern, if Southern University is impacted, the law school is impacted. So she has an investment in, you know, Southern staying open. So they do fundraising, I think. Her family donates money, and, you know, it's coming from, you know, white people or people of other races. And, you know, with you saying that, you know, we need to, you know, it would be nice if, yes, we want our HBCUs to be, you know, to educate our African American youth, but we're still open to races of all people, you know,
and I think that's what people miss. That's the thing that people miss. HBCUs, they are, like you said, they are our schools, but the one thing that we can say, they are the most diverse place, because if you look across the board, as an undergrad at Southern University, I'm going to say there's maybe 10,000 people on campus at that time when I was at Southern, and that was 99 to 03. Then when you get into the master's program, it's a mix. If you look across the board in athletics, there's a mix now. If you look across the Southern Law program, I have several friends that graduated, and one of them was a guy named Wayne Hayden, was a white guy, was the first white guy that was Southern University's SGA president.
Wow.
So, you know, he comes out of, he's from New Orleans. We have a whole nother line for him. He marched in the band. So he has a line of things that he did while he was in Southern University. And again, he came out of Southern Law. But it's like the melting pot. HBCUs are super diverse, and that's what a lot of people don't see. And the thing is that we have to continue to tell our story. But it's like you said, we have to use our allies. We have to use every avenue that we can to grab wherever we can to get whatever we can. Because like I said, if they could shut us all down with the flip of a switch, they would. And as alumni, go ahead.
You know, what I was about to say was that's what actually got us connected. Was because there was a gentleman, we were talking about the the NCAA tournament, and North Carolina, I think it was A&T and South Carolina, or USC. It was South Carolina. It was USC versus, I think, North Carolina A&T.
Yeah.
And there was a brother that was on there who said that that he doesn't like the cockiness of HBCUs and wish that they lost to USC. Now, in some cases, if you just want another team to win over another team, then that's one thing. But when you make it an HBCU situation, then now that's either a malicious intent.
That's a trigger word for us to join together as HBCUs everywhere. Because when you attack one, you attack us all.
Absolutely. So but the thing is that we also, amongst African Americans, some don't value HBCUs. We have, and for us who have attended, have friends who attended other types of institutions and may look down on the fact that we went to an HBCU, or think that their education is somehow superior than ours, or whatever have you. So it's not just people outside of our race or outside of what the historically black college was actually designed for. Even though when historically black colleges were designed, there were many white people who were actually some of the first students that were there as well, like Howard and several other institutions, right, even Union. So that's one of the things. So we have to be honest about that it's not even us. Everybody who looks like us is not on our side either. And I think that's one of the things we have to, be mindful of. We don't have to be resentful of it. We just have to be mindful of it. That everyone that looks like you is not necessarily for you.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, talk to us about what you have going on in your career right now.
Okay. So right now, as I said before, I am I'm a contractor with the Department of Veteran Affairs. Mm-hmm. But some of the things, and like I said, what I do is I give the benefits briefing to service members as they're exiting, so they understand how to utilize their benefits. One of the more important things is especially the education piece when they get ready to go back to college, or some going to college for the very first time, and how to utilize their GI Bill and things of that nature.
So basically, you've come full circle.
Yeah, absolutely. But aside from that, I do leadership and development consulting. And I work with organizations such as the American Student Government Association. So I just left Philadelphia, where we had about 50 schools representing maybe about 100 plus students from across the country. As a matter of fact, we had a couple schools from California who flew out for a one-day conference. We had I think Florida Atlantic that came up from obviously from Florida. So we had schools from everywhere, and just kind of helping mold and shape their viewpoints on how to govern, how to be a student leader, how to be in leadership. And I think there's a lot to that goes into that, because again, one thing that I never account for is, when I talk about success, is the amount of money or material things and that you can accumulate. Because the one thing that, when you're leaving a legacy, is what people say when you're gone, when you leave out of their presence. What do they say when you're not there? And I think that my opportunity, what it is that I get to do versus what I got to do. So I get to talk to service members every single week, nearly 4,000 that our team does. Our team talks to nearly 4,000 service members a year. There's about 150,000 of them that get out every single year. I get to engage students and student leaders across this country every single week or every single day. So these are the opportunities that I take pride in, or take honor in being able to do. I think that we all did the things that we were passionate about. I think we would be in such a better state. But those are some of the things that I do.
Yes, indeed. So basically, you help people, right their ships. You help people make sure that they are, headed in the right direction for what they need to be doing. And it's good to have people like you, to like I said, you've come full circle with the GI Bill and the military benefits because that helped you get into VUU, and now you're helping veterans, and then you have the leadership where you're helping young people. I mean, having someone like you who has a story and background like you, I mean, that could definitely motivate someone to either to accomplish their goals and their dreams. It's like when you had an obstacle, you found a way to get past that obstacle. You didn't let it stop you, and you let it. You made your own path when the NFL path seemed unlikely. You took another path, to complete your passion. So I mean, that's just a testament to when one door closes, another door will open, or you can kick it down and make your way your own way.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that's important about what it is that I do is that I try to get people to be the very best version of themselves. I think so oftentimes we get caught up in our titles and what it is that we do versus who it is that we actually are at the core. And I think one of the things that was told to me many years ago was that if you're the very best man or woman that you can possibly be, you'll be the very best at anything that you do. You'll be a better husband. You'll be a better wife. You'll be a better provider, a better protector. You'll be a better player, a better DJ, a better host, because you've worked on yourself and you're the very best version of yourself. And so whether I'm talking to service members, we have a certain mindset and a certain culture that we come up in, or if I'm talking to young people, or whether you're from the city, or whether you're from the rural areas, or whether you're from suburbia area, whether you're from another country, we all have a better version of ourselves. As we're striving to achieve whatever particular goals that we have in life, my objective is to make sure that you're the very best that you can be, so that you can be the very best for somebody else later on, whoever is that's relying on you to be, to deliver for them.
Yes, indeed. Kels, you have anything else for Ernest?
I have nothing else.
Ernest, man, you're no longer a guest now. You're family. So whenever you want to call in and talk sports, HBCU sports, man, you can call in anytime. When football season starts, as a VUU alum, especially when that Virginia State game comes up, you may want to call in and give your pick. So anytime you want to call in and talk sports, man, feel free. I mean, you don't have to have an invite now. You're now part of the Black College Experience family.
I definitely appreciate it, and I look forward to it.
Yes, indeed. We want to thank you for calling in, sir, and have a good night.
Thank you, do the same. Thank you so much.
You. Keep in touch now.
We'll do.
All right. Kels. He's amazing,
yep.
Right?
He is. I mean, the story is very, very, very deep story.
Right.
Very deep story. I mean,
but before we close out, we got about 2 minutes left in the show. There's one topic I want to talk about, and it hits home to us double because we are in sports radio and we are graduates of HBCUs. Shaw, I saw this on Santoria Black's Facebook, and I read over it, and it kind of threw me for a loop because I did not know this. But Shaw University is selling its radio station, and it's also selling a piece of history because WSHA-FM was the first public radio station owned by an historically black college, Kels. You hear that? They're selling the radio station. The station is known for being a go-to station for jazz, blues, reggae, and gospel music in the Triangle in that area. And they have sold it to, let's see here, the Educational Media Foundation. And the reasons why they're selling it, I guess they're saying they want to generate some revenue to provide for the provide a 21st century education for students who elect to come to Shaw. But you're setting a radio station and of course invest in mass communications. I mean, they're going to stream music and stuff over the internet. So I guess you can say the technological advancements of radio is one reason why Shaw was selling the radio station. They will keep the name, and they will keep equipment. The office space will be turned into, let's see here, a laboratory space for audio engineering, video editing, and social media data analysis and streaming content creation. So it's going to take about 90 days for the sale to go through. And like I said, the school will retain ownership of the radio tower, the call name, and the broadcasting equipment per President Dillard. The school would stream jazz over the internet. There's been some critics, to this because, they feel like since this was the history, with Shaw having the first radio station for HBCUs, public of HBCUs, that you shouldn't sell this. You shouldn't sell your history for, I guess you can say, a few pieces of silver. Say the Friends of Shaw University. They have been very critical of the sale. Keisha Monk, a 95 graduate of Shaw, who works in radio in Boston, says she remembers that the group have been trying to save the station since they first learned of the Board of Trustees vote to sell the station in December. So, you have alums who, love the radio station, who they got their start in it. That's how they cut their teeth. I mean, myself, I have no radio experience, but public radio has allowed me to learn about, how to work a radio board and how to talk and the 7 words you can't say. So I've got my education secondhand, but the importance of public radio is vital. And for an HBCU, to sell their station, with it being historic, and we and you are both history, but we love our HBCU history. And with you, having your background in radio in Atlanta, what do you think about Shaw selling this radio station before we close out?
Well, in this case, and I don't, for more reasons than one, you look at where you started from and you look at where, you got your beginning. And I think it's always hard to move on from where you started. Right. Sometimes it can be for the best, and sometimes it's for the worst. But in every situation, you always look at the memories, and you can always keep those. And that's basically all I can take from it. For whatever reason, when you make those decisions, all you can say is, okay, this is where I started. But it's kind of like, to me, in hindsight, let me give a college, for example. We'll use Morris Brown. It's kind of like you see history, and then it's like someone's trying to erase it. It's almost like someone's trying to erase what you started or erasing history. So, for those that started in the business, started there, I think it's hard. It's hard. It's very hard. But right. Needless to say, that's just how it is.
Yes, and the PP, what do you think about that?
I hope it doesn't start a trend that others, I won't say struggling universities, but others start doing the same thing as far as selling their radio rights and stuff like that to outside entities instead of keeping it like animals. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. I mean, I kind of wish there was a way to save the station. With it being history that was founded in 1968, and of course, it's the oldest historically black college station in the South, radio station. So setting off your history, and of course, we want young people to have the best and brightest technology, and it looks like they're going to invest in the department with all the new bells and whistles. I wish there could have been a way to make this investment without selling this radio station. Maybe the people buying it will still allow Shaw to utilize the station. Who knows? I guess we'll find out. But I just wanted to talk about that because I'm in sports radio. Kels is in sports radio. And with us being HBCU graduates, all those HBCU graduates, I mean, this is history. The oldest black college radio station is going to be no more within 90 days. Kel, let's go ahead and close us out.
Well, to close out this week, just to let everybody know, I've listened to you, I've heard you, I've listened to Derek, I listened to myself. Tomorrow, in the morning, it is official, pre-sale. Black College Experience T-shirts are coming. They are coming. I've worked and worked and worked and worked, and I'm still working, but they are dropping for pre-sale on tomorrow morning.
All right. Well, once again, for Derek Thomas in Baton Rouge, Patrick Perry in the Delta, and the founder of Black College Experience, Keisha Kelly in Atlanta, we are out of here. Have a good evening, everybody.
Hey.
Shutterstock